the silent hunter. The void between stars held secrets that few species ever discovered. In the darkness near Proxima Centauri, something massive drifted among the cosmic dust and debris. Admiral Krixtal of the Zephyrian Empire had been exploring this region for 3 cycles, mapping unknown territories for his people's expansion. His fleet of 12 vessels moved through space like silver ghosts, their advanced sensors reaching out into the black. Admiral, called Navigator Zeeth from her station, her forearms working the controls with practiced precision. We have detected an anomaly. Large metallic object bearing 27 Mark IV. Krixtal rose from his command throne, his crystalline skin catching the bridge's blue light. The Zephyrians had ruled this sector of space for over 1,000 years, encountering dozens of species. Most were primitive, barely capable of basic spaceflight. Others showed promise but lacked the vision for true galactic dominance. His fleet was always searching for something new, something that might pose a threat or offer opportunity. "Show me," he commanded, his voice resonating through the ship's neural communication system. The main display flickered to life, revealing a grainy image of something enormous floating in the darkness. The object was clearly artificial, angular and brutal in design. It stretched nearly 4 kilometers from bow to stern, dwarfing even Krixtal's flagship. Strange protrusions and geometric patterns covered its hull like scars from ancient battles. "Analysis," Krixtal ordered. Zeeth's tentacles danced across her instruments. "Unknown configuration, Admiral. The materials appear to be metal-based, possibly iron and titanium composites. Primitive by our standards, but the construction is unusual. The ship appears completely dead. No energy signatures, no life signs, no movement." Admiral Krixtal studied the image with growing interest. A derelict vessel from an unknown species, especially one this large, represented a significant discovery. The technology alone could be worth studying, and if this species had built more ships like this one, they could either be valuable allies or dangerous enemies. "Take us closer," he ordered. "I want a full-spectrum analysis and prepare boarding teams." "Sir," Sub-Admiral Vorth interjected from his position, "perhaps we should report this to the Empire first. Unknown vessels of this size could represent a threat." Krixtal waved a dismissive hand. "One dead ship poses no threat, Vorth. Besides, discoveries like this advance careers. Take us to within scanning range." Deep inside the human battleship UES Determination, Captain Elena Vasquez sat motionless in her command chair. Her eyes were closed, but her mind was fully active, connected to every system on her ship through the neural interface crown resting on her head. Around her, 2,000 crew members maintained perfect silence, their life signs suppressed by advanced biotechnology. "Captain," whispered Dr. Marcus Chen through the neural link. "They're taking the bait perfectly. 11 vessels in their fleet, plus what appears to be a command ship. Technology level approximately 40 years behind our current capabilities." Vasquez smiled without opening her eyes. The Determination and 5 other human battleships had been waiting in this system for 2 months, playing dead while monitoring alien traffic patterns. Humanity's first contact protocols were thorough and cautious. Before revealing themselves to any new species, they needed to understand who they were dealing with. "Any signs they've detected our escort ships?" she asked mentally. "Negative, Captain. The Halifax, Mumbai, Stalingrad, Damascus, and New Tokyo remain completely undetected. Our stealth systems are operating perfectly. The human ships use technology that bent space around them, making them invisible to conventional sensors. While the aliens saw one dead battleship, they were actually surrounded by humanity's most advanced fleet, watching and learning everything about these newcomers." Back on the Zephyrian flagship, the detailed scans were beginning. Navigator Zeeth worked with growing confusion as data flowed across her screens. The alien vessel's technology was far more complex than initial readings had suggested. "Admiral," she called out, "something is wrong with these readings. The ship's computer systems are showing processing capabilities that exceed our own vessels. These readings can't be correct." Krixtal moved to stand behind her station. "Check your instruments. Primitive species don't build quantum processors." "I've run the scan 3 times, sir. The data is consistent. Their computational power is decades ahead of ours. Admiral Krickstall felt a chill run through his crystalline body. Quantum processing was the foundation of Zephyrian technology. If this unknown species had surpassed them in computer science, what else might they have achieved? What about their weapons? He asked, though he dreaded the answer. Zeeth's tentacles trembled as she accessed the weapon scan data. Sir, you need to see this immediately. What I initially read as simple projectile weapons are actually electromagnetic acceleration systems. The power requirements and velocity capabilities they're beyond anything in our database. How far beyond? According to these readings, they can accelerate projectiles to 20% of light speed. At that velocity, a simple metal slug would impact with the force of our most powerful explosives. The bridge fell silent. Every Zephyrian present understood the implications. Kinetic weapons at 20% light speed were theoretical maximums in their science. No civilized species had ever built such weapons because they were considered too dangerous to control. Inside the determination, Weapons Officer Commander Sarah Mitchell was monitoring the alien reactions with professional satisfaction. The humans had spent decades perfecting their ship designs not just for combat effectiveness, but for psychological warfare. Every system was built to terrify anyone who scanned it deeply enough. Captain, she reported through the neural link, they just discovered our railgun systems. Based on their bio readings, I'd say they're having the appropriate reaction. Excellent, Vasquez replied mentally. Show them the fusion torpedoes next. Mitchell made subtle adjustments to the ship's scanner shields, allowing the alien probe to penetrate deeper into the Determination's weapon systems. She smiled as she imagined the aliens' reaction to what they were about to discover. Navigator, Zeeth nearly collapsed when the torpedo bay scans came through. Admiral, we have a critical situation. Their missile systems are using controlled fusion warheads. Not just fusion, but antimatter catalyzed fusion. The yield on a single torpedo could destroy our entire ship. Antimatter catalysis? Krickstall's voice was barely a whisper. That's theoretical technology. Our best scientists say it's impossible to weaponize safely. Sir, they're not just carrying these weapons. They have thousands of them, and the containment systems are stable. I don't understand how they're doing it, but the mathematics don't lie. Admiral Krickstall stared at the readouts in growing horror. A single one of those torpedoes could cripple his flagship. This alien vessel was carrying enough firepower to annihilate his entire fleet dozens of times over. But the scan was far from complete. As Zeeth continued to probe deeper into the human ship's systems, each new discovery was more terrifying than the last. The medical bays contained research laboratories with biological containment systems that suggested weapons of mass destruction. The communication arrays were designed for electronic warfare on a scale that could cripple entire fleets. Even the life support systems had been modified with capabilities that defied understanding. Admiral, Zeeth whispered, her voice shaking, this isn't just a warship. Every single system on this vessel has been weaponized. They've turned their entire ship into a weapon of mass destruction. Captain Vasquez continued monitoring the alien fleet through her ship's advanced sensors. The psychological profile her crew was building showed a species that was intelligent, militaristic, but not inherently evil. They were explorers and conquerors, but they followed rules of engagement and showed respect for worthy opponents. Dr. Chen, she said through the neural link, what's your assessment of their intentions? Based on their communication patterns and fleet movements, they appear to be scouts for a larger empire, technologically advanced but not as advanced as they believe. Their society seems hierarchical but stable. Most importantly, they haven't opened fire despite being obviously outgunned. They're curious, not aggressive. Good. That suggests they can be reasoned with. Continue the scan revelation. Let them see what we're really capable of. The deeper scan continued, and Navigator Zeeth wished it would stop. Each new system she discovered on the human ship made the Zephyrian Empire's most advanced technology look primitive by comparison. Manufacturing bays that could build new weapons while traveling between stars. Habitat modules that suggested the ship could establish colonies on any planet. energy systems that manipulated space-time itself. "Admiral?" she called out, her voice hollow with shock. "They have faster-than-light communication that doesn't rely on quantum entanglement or hyperspace relays. They're in contact with other ships across the galaxy in real time." "How many other ships?" Krixtal asked, though he suspected he wouldn't like the answer. "Thousands, sir, maybe tens of thousands. And they're all coordinating with each other instantaneously. This isn't just one ship. It's part of a fleet that spans multiple star systems." The alien bridge crew stared at their instruments in stunned silence. They had thought they were examining a single derelict vessel. Instead, they had discovered they were facing an invisible armada that could coordinate attacks across the entire galaxy simultaneously. But there was still more to discover. As the scan reached the deepest levels of the human ship's systems, Zeeth found something that challenged everything the Zephyrian Empire thought they knew about warfare. "Sir," she said, her voice barely controlled, "they have artificial intelligence systems controlling their weapons. Fully autonomous AI that's learning and adapting in real time." "AI weapon systems?" Krixtal gasped. "That's forbidden by every civilized species in known space. The risks are too great." "Not just AI, sir. These systems are analyzing our ship, our weapons, our tactics, and developing countermeasures while we scan them. They're not just intelligent. They're getting smarter every second we remain here." Admiral Krixtal closed his eyes and tried to process what his crew had discovered. The human ship was not just a vessel of war. It was a mobile civilization designed for conquest on a scale that dwarfed anything in Zephyrian experience. It could travel to any system, destroy all resistance, establish colonies, build more ships, and coordinate with a galactic network of similar vessels. "Final assessment," he ordered quietly. Navigator Zeeth looked at her readings one last time before responding. "The vessel represents technology centuries ahead of our own. It carries sufficient firepower to destroy our entire fleet, manufacturing capability to build replacement ships, colonization equipment to establish permanent settlements, and communication systems that connect it to what appears to be a galactic empire we never knew existed." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Every member of the bridge crew understood what they had discovered. They weren't the apex predators of the galaxy they had believed themselves to be. They were insects who had just encountered gods. "Sir," Sub-Admiral Vorth asked quietly, "what are our orders?" Admiral Krixtal opened his eyes and looked at the image of the human ship on his main screen. It still appeared dead and harmless, but he now knew better. That vessel contained more power than his entire civilization possessed. "We wait," he said finally. "If they wanted us dead, we would be dead already. The fact that we're still alive suggests they have other plans for us." As if summoned by his words, every sensor on every Zephyrian ship in the fleet suddenly detected the same impossible thing. The human battleship, which had appeared cold and dead for hours, was powering up. Energy readings spiked beyond measurement as lights blazed across its massive hull like stars being born. The trap was about to be sprung. The awakening truth, the human battleship, UES Determination, came alive all at once. 4 kilometers of advanced technology hummed with power that made space itself vibrate. What had appeared to be a derelict hulk moments before now blazed with energy that exceeded the output of small stars. Weapon systems that had been carefully hidden began cycling online, each one more terrifying than anything in Zephyrian experience. Admiral Krixtal watched in horror as his instruments registered impossible readings. The human vessel was generating more power than his entire home fleet combined. Targeting systems were locking onto his ships with precision that suggested complete tactical superiority. "Admiral," Navigator Zeeth called out, her voice cracking with terror. "They're targeting all of our ships simultaneously. I count 47 different weapon locks on the fleet." 47? Krixtal asked weakly. "Sir, the number keeps increasing. They have more weapons than we have ships." On the bridge of the Determination, Captain Elena Vasquez opened her eyes for the first time in hours. Around her, the bridge crew maintained their positions, but were no longer pretending to be dead. The charade was over, and it was time for humanity to introduce itself properly to the galaxy. "Good morning, everyone," Vasquez said calmly, stretching like someone waking from pleasant rest. I trust our guests enjoyed their examination of our ship. Commander Sarah Mitchell smiled from her tactical station. Very much, Captain. They were quite thorough. Our psychological warfare systems performed exactly as designed. Excellent. Communications. Open a channel to our new friends. The communications officer nodded and activated the ship's external arrays. Every Zephyrian vessel in the fleet would now be able to hear humanity's first words to their species. Captain Vasquez stood and walked to the center of her bridge. When she spoke, her voice was calm and friendly, carrying the tone of someone greeting old acquaintances rather than potential enemies. Greetings, crew of the Zephyrian Scout Fleet. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Defense Force, representing the Terran Federation. Thank you for your detailed examination of our vessel. We found your reactions quite educational. The words hit the alien bridge like a physical blow. They had been discovered. The humans had been awake and aware the entire time, watching them, learning from them, studying their every reaction just as thoroughly as they had been studying the human ship. How did you know our species name? Admiral Crixtall managed to ask, his voice barely steady. Captain Vasquez's voice carried a hint of amusement. The same way we know that you are Admiral Crixtall of the Zephyrian 4th Exploration Fleet. The same way we know your home system is located in the Kepler 442 region. The same way we know your fleet consists of 12 vessels with approximately 4,000 crew members total. Crixtall felt his crystalline body go cold. That information was classified at the highest levels of Zephyrian military command. That's impossible. Our security systems are among the most advanced in known space. Nothing is impossible, Admiral, Vasquez replied. While you were scanning our ship, we were scanning yours. Your computer security is quite good by Galactic standards, but humanity has had considerable experience with information warfare. The terrible truth was beginning to dawn on the Zephyrian crew. While they had been marveling at the human ship's weapons and technology, the humans had been quietly infiltrating their computer systems and stealing every piece of classified information in their databases. Dr. Marcus Chen had spent the last 3 hours dissecting every byte of data flowing through the alien ship's networks. Zephyrian security might be advanced by their local standards, but it wasn't designed to stop intrusion methods that treated cyber warfare as a fundamental branch of military science. Captain, Chen reported through the neural link. I have complete intelligence on their entire civilization. Fleet deployments, colony locations, government structure, technological capabilities, and cultural protocols. They're actually quite impressive for a pre-singularity species. Excellent work, Doctor, Vasquez replied mentally, then continued speaking aloud to the aliens. I hope you don't mind, but we also took the liberty of examining your stellar cartography, databases. Very impressive maps, by the way. We particularly appreciate learning about your trade routes and resource deposits. You hacked our navigation computers, Admiral Crixtall said, though it was more statement than question. Hacked is such an unpleasant word, Admiral. We prefer to think of it as aggressive information sharing. After all, you were sharing our information with your sensors. We simply returned the courtesy. The full scope of their situation was becoming clear to the Zephyrian crew. While they had been focused on studying what they thought was a derelict vessel, they had actually been trapped by a species that operated on levels of sophistication they couldn't even comprehend. Speaking of information sharing, Captain Vasquez continued, we've been quite impressed with your civilization's achievements. Your technology is well developed, your society appears stable, and your exploration protocols show wisdom and caution. These are all excellent qualities in potential allies. Allies? Admiral Crixtall asked weakly. Of course. Humanity has always valued cooperation and mutual benefit. We would very much like to establish diplomatic relations with the Zephyrian Empire. Commander Mitchell was monitoring sensors throughout the system as other human ships began dropping their stealth systems. One by one, massive battleships were becoming visible to Zephyrian sensors, each one as heavily armed and advanced as the Determination. The reveal was carefully choreographed to demonstrate overwhelming strength while avoiding outright intimidation. Captain, Mitchell reported, the Halifax, Mumbai, Stalingrad, Damascus, and New Tokyo are coming online. All ships maintaining defensive positions. Perfect. Let's introduce Admiral Krixtal to the neighborhood. On the Zephyrian flagship, Alarm, systems began screaming as sensors detected one human warship after another, materializing out of empty space. Ships that had been completely invisible moments before were suddenly everywhere, surrounding the alien fleet in a perfect sphere of coordinated firepower. Admiral, Navigator Zeeth called out, panic barely controlled. I count 6 human ships. No, wait, 8. They keep appearing. Final count, Admiral Krixtal demanded. 6 battleships total, sir, all maintaining positions around our fleet. We're completely surrounded. Captain Vasquez's voice came across the communication channel again, still calm and friendly. Admiral Krixtal, you are now in the presence of the 6th Fleet of the Terran Defense Force. Please don't be alarmed. We mean you no harm, but we thought it appropriate to meet you with a proper diplomatic escort. Admiral Krixtal stared at his instruments in disbelief. 6 battleships, each one capable of destroying his entire fleet with ease, had been hidden throughout the system waiting for his arrival. The trap had been planned and executed with precision that spoke of military, thinking far beyond anything in his experience. How long have you been waiting for us? He asked. Captain Vasquez's answer was chilling in its casual confidence. Approximately 2 months. We've been monitoring your exploration patterns for some time, Admiral. We knew you would eventually investigate this system. You see, humanity takes a very active interest in our galactic neighbors. We believe in being prepared. The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just stumbled across his fleet. They had been actively hunting them, studying their movements, predicting their behavior, and setting elaborate traps. His people weren't explorers discovering new territory. They were specimens being examined by a superior intelligence. Admiral, Sub-Admiral Vorth whispered. What are our options? Krixtal looked at his tactical displays. 6 human battleships surrounded his fleet, each one demonstrating technology centuries ahead of Zephyrian capabilities. Running would be impossible. Fighting would be suicide. Surrender might be meaningless if the humans had already taken everything they wanted. We have no options, he said quietly. We're completely at their mercy. Captain Vasquez seemed to sense his thoughts. Admiral, I want to assure you that humanity approaches new relationships with optimism and respect. We're not conquerors or destroyers. We're builders and protectors. Your fleet is in no danger as long as you continue to approach this situation with the wisdom you've shown so far. What do you want from us? Krixtal asked. Simply put, we want to establish formal diplomatic contact with your government. Humanity is ready to take its place in the galactic community, and we believe the Zephyrian Empire would be an excellent partner for peaceful cooperation. Dr. Chen's analysis of Zephyrian culture had revealed a species that respected strength, but valued honor. They would respond better to confident partnership than to submissive pleading. Partnership, Admiral Krixtal repeated. Between equals? Captain Vasquez's laugh was warm and genuine. Admiral, I think we both know the situation here. Humanity is offering partnership from a position of overwhelming strength, but we're offering it nonetheless. We could have destroyed your fleet before you ever knew we were here. Instead, we chose to reveal ourselves and extend the hand of friendship. And if our government refuses your offer? The pause that followed was brief but meaningful. Admiral, I hope they won't. Humanity prefers cooperation to conflict, but we're prepared for any response your leaders might choose to make. The threat was subtle but unmistakable. Humanity was offering alliance, but they were also demonstrating that they didn't need Zephyrian permission to operate in this galaxy. They had technology, firepower, and intelligence capabilities that made them functionally unstoppable. I will carry your message to the Empire, Admiral Krixtal said finally. Excellent. Dr. Chen will be transmitting a complete diplomatic package to your ship's computers. Cultural protocols, technological samples, proposed trade agreements, and mutual defense treaties. Everything your leaders will need to make an informed decision. As data began flowing into the Zephyrian ship's computers, Admiral Krixtal realized he was witnessing something unprecedented in galactic history. Humanity wasn't just introducing itself as another species seeking membership in the existing order. They were announcing their arrival as a new dominant force that intended to reshape how galactic civilization operated. "One more thing, Admiral," Captain Vasquez added. "Please inform your superiors that humanity takes the protection of our friends very seriously. Any species that chooses to ally with us can count on our complete support in any conflicts that might arise." The message was clear. Humanity wasn't just offering partnership. They were offering protection under their technological umbrella. The Zephyrian Empire could join the human sphere of influence willingly, or they could face an uncertain future knowing that gods walked among the stars. "I understand," Admiral Krickstall said. "We will deliver your proposal to the Imperial Council." "Wonderful. Oh, and Admiral, have a safe journey home. Our ships will be escorting you to the edge of this system to ensure you encounter no difficulties." As the Zephyrian fleet began its journey home, surrounded by human battleships that could have annihilated them in seconds, Admiral Krickstall reflected on what had just occurred. His people had set out to explore unknown space and catalog primitive species. Instead, they had discovered that they were the primitives, and the gods had decided to offer them a place at the divine table. The question now was whether the Zephyrian Empire would be wise enough to accept. Behind them, the human fleet watched their departure with satisfaction. First contact had gone exactly according to plan. Humanity had revealed its strength, demonstrated its capabilities, and offered partnership from a position of absolute superiority. The galaxy would never be the same. Captain Vasquez smiled as she watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. "Well done, everyone. Phase 1 is complete. Now we wait to see how they respond." The age of human galactic dominance had begun.